ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकां। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So today we are reading verses 4 to 7. 4, 5, 6 and 7. So there are 4 verses I will hear today. So as you all read and discuss, I will be just hearing. Thank you.
Okay, so what verse are we on?
4. Verse 4 today.
I have to read verse 4?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
Yastayo Purushah Sakshad Vishnur Swarupa Drak Yastri Sa Dakshina Bhuter Amsa Bhutana Payini. Translation: Of the 2 children born of Akuti, the male child was directly an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his name was Yagna, which is another name of Lord Vishnu. The female child was a partial incarnation of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. Purport: Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu. Here it is stated that both the Lord and Lakshmi, who are eternal consorts, appeared from Akuti simultaneously. Both the Lord and his consort are beyond this material creation, and as confirmed by many authorities. Therefore, their eternal relationship cannot be changed, and Yagna, the boy born of Akuti, later married the goddess of fortune. Text 5. How many verses we have to read? Text 5. Ananya Swagraham Putyam Putram Vitat Rochashma Swayambhuvo Mudayukto Ruchir Jagraha Dakshinam. Translation: Swayambhu Manu very gladly brought home the beautiful boy named Yagna, and Ruchi, his son-in-law, kept with him the daughter Dakshina. Purport: Swayambhu Manu was very glad to see that his daughter Akuti had given birth to both a boy and a girl. He was afraid that he would take one son, and that because of this son-in-law, Ruchi might be sorry. Thus, when he heard that a daughter was born along with the boy, he was very glad. Ruchi, according to his promise, returned his male child to Swayambhu Manu and decided to keep the daughter, whose name was Dakshina. One of Lord Vishnu's name is Yagna because he is the master of the Vedas. The name Yagna comes from Yajusham Pati, which means Lord of all sacrifices. In the Yajur Veda, there are different ritualistic prescriptions for performing yagnas, and the beneficiary of all such yagnas is the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Therefore, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yagnat Karmana, one should act, but one should perform one's prescribed duties only for the sake of Yagna or Vishnu. If one does not act for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if one does not perform devotional service, then there will be reactions to all one's activities. It does not matter if the reaction is good or bad, if our activities are not dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Lord, or if we do not act with Krishna consciousness, then we shall be responsible for the results of her activities. There is always a reaction to every kind of action, but if actions are performed for yagna, there is no reaction. Thus, if one acts for yagna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is not entangled in the material condition. For it is mentioned in the Vedas and also in Bhagavad Gita that the Vedas and the Vedic rituals are all meant for understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. From the very beginning, one should try to act in Krishna consciousness. That will free one from the reactions of material activities. Hold on, I'll close the door. There is a lot of noise. Okay, text 6. Tam Samyanam Bhagwan Vaha Yajusham Pati Tushtayam Toshma Panno Dwadasha Najan. Translation. The Lord of the ritualistic performance of Yagna later married Dakshina, who was anxious to have the personality of Godhead as her husband. And in his wife, the Lord was also very much pleased to beget 12 children. Purport. An ideal husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayan to compare them to the Lord and the goddess of fortune, for it is significant that Lakshmi Narayan are forever happy as husband and wife. A wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. In the Chanakya Shloka, the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, it is said that if a husband and wife are always satisfied with one another, then the goddess of fortune automatically comes. In other words, where there is no disagreement between husband and wife, all material opulence is present and good children are born. Generally, according to Vedic civilization, the wife is trained to be satisfied in all conditions, and the husband, according to the Vedic instructions, is required to please the wife with sufficient food, ornaments, and clothing. Then, if they are satisfied with their mutual dealings, good children are born. In this way, the entire world can become peaceful, but unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there is no ideal husbands and wives. Therefore, unwanted children are produced, and there is no peace and prosperity in the present day world. How many texts are there to be read?
Text 7 is the last text.
Okay, I'll read the last one. Tosha Pratosha Santosho Bhadra Shanti Pitah Idyamaham Kivi Vilduha Swaha Sudevo Rochino Dvishat. Translation. The 12 boys born of Yagna and Dakshina were named Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swana, Sudeva, and Rochan. So, anybody else has joined and they want to say something before I speak, because my explanations are very long, and so I think first people who want to say something about the text we read, we should hear from them, and then I can speak.
One thing, I do not know, not anything philosophical, but one thing that stood out to me, Yagya and Lakshmi were both brother and sister.
Sorry, I
Right?
didn't hear.
Dakshina
Hello?
and Yagya were both brother and sister, right? And then they get married later.
Yes, Mata, that's what
Yeah, that was a question coming into my mind too, that they are brothers and sisters, but I guess they got married later because
I'm also thinking similar way. Why? Because the scripture is
actually it can also mean that there are many forms of Lakshmi. It is not that this is the only Lakshmi Narayan form, because it is written later on that the ideal relationship is of Lakshmi and Narayan. So it does not mean that he was actually married to the same Lakshmi. It can also mean, according to me, that he was married to another form of Lakshmi, who was also like a form of Lakshmi, who had all the qualities of Lakshmi. So it's not like this is the only Lakshmi. When we are saying that out of Ruchi's that Ruchi gave birth to Vishnu and Lakshmi, uh, that later married the goddess of fortune. It does not say
Actually, it does,
he
yeah,
married.
no, actually, Prabhupada does explain a little bit in the purport by saying that the Lakshmi is the eternal consort of Lord Vishnu and they simultaneously appeared from Akuti.
Mm.
And
Oh, he has
he
said
does
it.
say that,
Okay.
that, yeah, that their eternal relationship cannot be changed. Therefore, Yagya married, later on married the goddess of fortune.
But I feel it is controversial a little bit because many times it says like many places uh, Lord is even though he took the form of human being, he follows the scriptures, like he follows the rules and regulations
Correct.
because everybody else follows in the mankind. Look at him. But this is little controversy. I don't know how to understand it.
So my explanation, my thinking, I don't know much, but my thinking is that uh, Lakshmi and Narayan, eternal consort, means that they are transcendentally related. They don't have any physical relationship from which they actually have give a birth. You know, the physical relationship is not actually present between the actual Lakshmi and Narayan, because you see their children are transcendental. They are not like actually physically giving birth. Physically giving birth is only by Shiva and Devi, Bhagwati Devi, but they are not actually having like a physical relationship. Because of the transcendental relationship, it does not matter if they were born from the same womb or from a different womb. That, according to me, seems to be the correct explanation. So, yeah. Uh, like in our scriptures, you do not see any progeny of Lakshmi and Narayan. They are like transcendentally related. Yeah. Anyways, so like anybody else wants to say something before I can?
Then the next verse that is nicely explaining the Yajna about the one point I like this. So whatever we perform as a sacrifice, that is should be in the mood of pleasing to Krishna. Then you don't get the reaction Prabhupada is saying in the purport. And then if you, it is very difficult practically. At least for me, I don't remember the thing. But we always hear from the lectures, and then here we are seeing same like message. Whatever you perform in the mood of like pleasing to Krishna, here is saying particularly Yajna in the of Godhead. He is the receiver of the sacrifices. And then if you do in that proper mode, then you don't get any reaction. Otherwise, you are entangled in the material like condition. Mm.
Yeah, that is a very nice point to remember, because whatever we do as a yagna, the only acceptor of all sacrifices or of all yagnas is ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so all the fruits of the yagnas go to him. So if we offer it first, and then we um, accept whatever we take as a form of after offering, then there is not much sin involved in it, because we are not acting selfishly. So that is very important thing. So here in this report, first we are reading about um, Ruchi the Prajapati, who is like giving birth to for the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was directly incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his name was Yagna. Um, and the daughter was Lakshmi. So since he had already in his mind given away the boy, that if a boy will be born, it will be given away to the father. So the boy was given back.
Somebody is speaking
Yes.
very loudly. It's hard to.
Yeah, it's the kids. I can't tell them, because they get upset. So maybe
That's
somebody
okay,
else can
Mataji. Yeah,
explain.
just speak a little bit closer to your phone. It may help.
Yeah, my phone is actually also having problems with the voice. It is really low.
No,
Anyway,
it's good.
so
It's a good. Yeah.
I'm actually holding my phone, and so I don't know if it will get better, but so uh, so his son-in-law kept with him the daughter Dakshina. So actually, I'm just thinking, it just came into my mind, not that I'm trying to be, but it just came into my mind that we can also take these things literally, and also we can take it or try to remember the symbolic aspect of Bhagavatam also. Like, here, like, it just came to my mind that the boy's name is Yagna, which means it is like, Yagna means, actually, I was just hearing it today, something which is done as a sacrifice, not as a sacrifice, but something which is done for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like it is mentioned, and like Swami Natalie was saying, that it is like the most important aspect that one should remember, to offer everything. So I was just hearing today, Yagna is not only of the physical karam kand, or what you call the physical karam kand that we do, but it is actually also giving away, which is something very anything which is precious to us, like giving away of our time, of our energy, of our of whatever ability we have, or whatever abilities God has given us, giving away that for the welfare of mankind, or to uplift anybody, to give anybody inspiration to go towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead and help him in that aspect, is actually also yagna. So that is why, we should try to also, like, not, I mean, I sometimes see that what is the deeper meaning in the literature. It's also like, like why he is considered the right person, because it is done as an offering to God, that he would give away the child, which is not so easy. So his name is Yagna, and the daughter is Dakshina. So what you get in return of offering something, whenever one follows a Brahmin, or whenever one follows the spiritual master, what does the spiritual master expect in return? That after you have served him and he has given to the best of his abilities, his knowledge and his transference of spiritual knowledge, and he has given in return, um, he has uplifted the person or his disciple, or gotten him closer to God. What he expects in return is dakshina. So what he is getting in return of giving away the most precious, because actually a son or daughter is also considered part of the soul. Like a part of the soul is getting transferred to that entity, and one is also accepting the other person's soul. That is why marriages are not taken so lightly, because one is actually accepting the other person's soul, which means whatever stage of development or whatever fallacies are there in the soul, the person takes it into their own soul and gives them a part of their own soul, which is like the biggest sacrifice one can give. And so he is giving away that offering, which is like a yagna, and he is getting to keep dakshina. So it just occurred to me, so I just said it. I don't know if it is actually, but many times if one reads between the lines, then one gets to know what the deeper meaning behind the literature is. So anyway, so uh, so one of
Actually,
Lord Vishnu's name
Mataji,
is, yes.
yeah, I am very fascinated by your explanation. Thank you.
No, it just occurred to me, sometimes that
But
we should
yeah, go ahead.
okay. So I mean, you can tell me if it is just not right or whatever, but I think
No,
we should try
actually,
to.
one thing is that when we read scriptures, usually it is shared by acharyas that we can take a secondary meaning of a verse only if it is very much contradictory to the real theme of the text. So usually, like, secondary meanings are not taken unless there is a commentary about it, or if it's very much against the uh, correct meaning that is to be understood. So, but I'm very much fascinated by how you explained yagya and dakshina. Mhm.
Okay. So so it is written that one should ask for the satisfaction of God, and if one does not perform devotional service, then there will be reactions to all one's activities. It does not matter if the reaction is good or bad if our activities are not dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Lord. That means whatever is also the desire of the Supreme Lord, one might think that we have to know what it is, but actually anything which, like there are a few checks which are very simple, which have been told by great people. One of the people comes to my mind is always Mahatma Gandhi. So he also said that when you're doing any action, you have to see if somebody is getting hurt in the process, if I am getting hurt in the process, if the result of my action is going to be ultimately bad, uh, and if it is going to set a bad example, or three or four are very simple uh, checklists when a person is performing any action. So, like to know whether it is the Supreme Lord's desire is the same as is like first of all, like not the same, but at least those 3 or 4 points should be on the checklist that if anybody is getting hurt in the process or if it is good for me and for others, so in the long run. So, so we have to check ourselves whenever we are doing something, and if it is beneficial for the common good, then we should definitely do that action, even at the cost of our own selfish interest, because that is required of Vaishnav. So the Lord of the ritualistic performance of Yagna later married Dakshana, who was anxious to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as her husband, and in his wife, the Lord was also very much pleased to beget 12 children. Oh, the Lord. But like you were saying that it is not directly related, but here it is written, the Lord of the ritualistic performance of Yagna later married Dakshana, who was anxious to have. So why would they have written the Lord of ritualistic performance anyways? So anyways, the ideal and husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayan. And so like here it talks about Chanakya Shloka, that how they have to be both satisfied with one another. It's not like one should say, oh, I wish I had Shah Rukh Khan as my husband, and the wife says, oh, I wish I had Hema Malini, because I guess it's because God arranges people to come together in this life who have to who would take them take the soul further towards towards God. So it really doesn't matter. In the sense, it does matter a lot, but one should not regret, because a lot of it is also arranged by uh, divine divine will, whom we meet, whom we come in contact with, and marriage is also something like that, where it is kind of pre-decided about like where that person is going to lead us. And many times, like we see in the example of Prabhupada himself, who was like not very he always thought that he didn't have a very conducive wife, but then his father told him that I think it was Prabhupada, yeah, as far as I remember. These days my memory fails me a lot, but I think his father told him that it is good that she is like that, because then you will get closer to God, because you will not be so mesmerized by the materialistic life. And so that is very true, which we must always remember, that we can use any circumstance or situation or relationship to the advantage, to our advantage, if we take the right attitude that this was given to me by providence, and I have to use it to get closer to God, and to like um, like um, like sometimes I listen to Brahma Kumaris, and they say whatever karmic actions and reactions we have been forming through many lives, we have to dissolve those karmic actions and reactions, and make every relationship a pleasant one for the future birth, so that all our relationships reflect goodness, and in the mode of goodness, are in the mode of goodness, and they take us closer to God. So yeah, that is the main main point which is stressed in all these reports is that we should, if we think about ourselves selfishly, even in a relationship between a husband and a wife, then to it doesn't matter how good of spouse a person gets, but if they don't use that relationship to advance spiritually, then it will become bad for them ultimately, because they are not dovetailing it with the supreme will, which is to become closer to God. So, um, so why in this age of Kali there are no ideal husbands and wives is because it's all about me. It's all about me kind of thought which keeps coming to people's mind is that, what did this person give and what did I give, and this person has caused a lot of hurt and this and that, and I deserve a better husband or I deserve a better wife, but it's ultimately, I guess, all about how we use the relationship to progress spiritually. Um, and so when we are not oriented in a relationship towards God, then unwanted children are produced because at that time we are not using the relationship for to grow spiritually or to become closer to God, or in God service. Then the result of that action is shown as in the fruit, and so um, and that is why there is no peace and prosperity in the present world. And the last text is about the 12 bonds of Yajna and Dakshina, were named Tosha, Kratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Vidaspati, Idna, Kavi, Vidhu, Swana, Sudeva, and Rochana. So I could speak about all of them, but Leela Manjari is going to be like, I don't think that that's the true meaning, but I guess I can just say in one or two lines that, so the result of doing a yagna and getting a rightful dakshina, what is that fruit? So those are the children. So where Tosh, Pratosh, Santosh is, they say, contentment is the biggest attainment, is the biggest um, happiness, or it's the biggest result of any action done in the mode of goodness, is contentment after doing that action, which is written in Bhagavad Gita. Uh, so Santosh, Tosh is actually, I think it is related to um, like Nidhi, which means like wealth accumulation. And Shanti, of course, everybody knows, peace is also not so easily found. So Idaspati Idna Kavi. Kavi is a poet which takes everything uh, in a nice way, everything in a beautiful and nice way, gives a nice twist to everything. Vibhu is uh, Dev, Swana, Sudeva, and Rochan. So anyways, these were the 12 boys, and it does not have a purport. So I made my own purport. Yes, so that was the explanation. So please go ahead and
Thank you, Ruchi Mataji.
thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Mataji, is any of you are inspired to share something from the verses we read today? Okay, Ruchi Mataji, I'll just share what I was inspired by. Actually, I like this point which Prabhupada says one should act, but one should perform one's prescribed duties only for the sake of Yagya or Vishnu. If one does not act for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if one does not perform devotional service, then there will be reactions to all one's activities. So I was thinking about this because it's very practical in our everyday life that we can perform activities with different motivations, but if we can just think of the Supreme Lord and perform that activity, that this activity is actually for a higher purpose, it's for a higher cause, then as soon as we remember Krishna, all of the reactions to those activities are burnt up. Of course, we should not perform activities that are directly against spiritual injunctions, but any other activity which we perform can be performed as a service to the Supreme Lord, and then one does not receive any reaction for such work. One does not become karmically entangled because of that work. And the second thing, which was very interesting for me, is in verse 6, where Chanakya is giving moral instructions and he's saying, if a husband and wife are always satisfied with one another, then the goddess of fortune automatically comes. So, this is actually true not just between husband and wife, but also between devotees. So when devotees are cooperating with each other and trying to assist each other and are satisfied with whoever they're surrounded with, then good fortune, the goddess of fortune, automatically comes. That means there is prosperity. And in other words, where there is no disagreement between husband and wife, all material opulence is present and good children are born. This is such a hard thing in Kali Yuga, as Prabhupada is saying, like there are no ideal husbands and wives. But to whatever extent, like, we can remain peaceful in our situations, both at home and also where we are performing services. The more we can do that, like the more we attract the mercy of the Lord. Actually, yesterday we were talking about the prachetas, and Lord Shiva instructs the prachetas. But the first thing that, the Supreme Lord, when he appears in front of the prachetas, the first thing he says is, all of you cooperated with each other, and that pleased me very much. And it is similarly true, like with devotees also. Like if devotees can just learn to cooperate, which is not easy, of course, in Kali Yuga, because there are so many different mentalities, and especially like people from so many different backgrounds and cultures come together under the roof of Srila Prabhupada's temples. So it's not easy to adjust to every cultural difference. It's not easy to adjust to every personality whom we come across. But um, if that is a, if that is something that can be achieved through proper training and willingness to cooperate, then it pleases the Lord very, very much. And then good outcomes. That means good, very nice service can be done for the Lord. So that's what I was thinking about. And also, like the atmosphere becomes very peaceful, as Prabhupada is saying.
This is very nice point. Connecting with the devotees and cooperation.
Does anybody want to see anything else based on these purports? Ruchi Mataji, thank you again for reading. It's nice to hear from you.
Thanks. It gives me a chance to do some service of some sort.
Yes, Ruchi Mataji. Okay, Mataji, so should we end here for today? If there are no more comments. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so we'll end here for today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we will be meeting again on Monday.
Stacy, I've just or 4 others.